Hey there, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Welcome to day 127 of our Be a Better You annual challenge. We're doing one thing every day to be a better version of ourselves, to be a better person, and to just continuously improve our life. So today, this whole month, we're focusing on finances. So we're focusing on step 2 of the SOAP framework, which is O for options. And we're going to explore our financial options using a tool called the 6-Hat tool. I probably should have saved this one for tomorrow when we talk about what are we going to do, how do we decide what action to take based on the options we come up with. But what I like about the 6 Hats process, or the 6 Hats, and it is by Edward de Bono. And I learned about it, I probably learned about it back in corporate America, so that was a couple of decades ago. But I used it a lot to remind us, and we did it in team building, that we have the ability at any given time to put a different hat on and see the situation from a different point of view, a different perspective. And when we do that, it allows us to see things that we might not see with the hat that we normally wear, right? Because we all have a propensity to go toward one thing or another. So what are the 6 hats? There's the white hat, which is what are the facts? What's going on? It's all about objective data and facts. The red hat is about emotions and feelings. And the question I asked there is, what are the emotions involved in this situation? Black hat, risk and critical judgment. So what are the risks involved in the problem or the challenge that I'm looking at? Yellow hat, optimism and benefits. So what are the benefits of what I'm looking at? I'm going to run through these. I'm going to give you an example, somebody's specific example that they shared with me. Green hat is creativity and new ideas, which is, I have to tell you, my favorite personal hat. What are some of the creative options that we could come up with to deal with this particular financial challenge or situation? And then finally, the blue hat is all about the process, control, and the overview of, okay, what's the plan? What are we going to do now? We know all this. We've looked at all the different points of view of this particular challenge. So now let's brainstorm options, because I always want to brainstorm options. Remember, at least 10 of what I can do to start to fill the gap between where we are and where we want to be financially. So that's what we're really going to do today. Our action item is to come up with those options, but I want to challenge you to use these different hats and different points of view and perspective to see if you don't come up with some options that you wouldn't otherwise think about if you were just going at it with your usual way of thinking. Me, when I'm thinking about a challenge or a situation, I usually have my green hat on. I have my green hat on most of the time because that's the one about creative ideas, solutions, problem solving, and being creative and having ideas. And so I wear that hat a lot personally. But if I'm only looking at a problem or a challenge, especially when it's a financial problem or challenge, which probably has a lot of facts and objectivity around it, that I don't have to use my subjective hat of creativity and ideas, then I want to look at the situation from all those different points of view. So let me give you an example. Let's look at Sarah. Sarah, we've talked about before, and she is a single mom with lots of debt, right? And she, I think yesterday we used her as an example, and we talked about how she went about reducing some of that debt. But today, we're going to look at her situation through all the different hats. And I'm going to read it off here because otherwise I'll mess it up. So she's made significant progress managing her finances, but she still struggles to build consistent savings and break free from debt. What are the facts? White hat. Monthly income, $3,000. Debt, $4,000 in credit card balances. No savings. Expenses are rent, childcare, groceries, and utilities consume 90% of her income. So the facts are, just the absolute bare necessities take up most of her income. So if any glitch comes along, she knows she could be in trouble. So and we're going to talk about that with the other hats. So red hat is, well, what are the emotions around this? Well, she feels overwhelmed, anxious, and guilty about not saving. She feels hopeful when making small progress and experiences fear of unexpected emergencies because she's afraid her car might break down or her kid might get sick, etc. Black hat, what are the risks of the current situation? Continuing the paycheck to paycheck cycle, a single emergency could lead to more debt, and side hustle may lead to burnout. So she's thought about some of these things, but she knows she might get burned out. Yellow hat, what are the benefits of change? Financial security and peace of mind. Teaching her son responsible financial habits, which is really critical because we adopt so many things from our past experiences and We pass them on to our children if we're not careful. And then finally, potential to break generational financial patterns. She wants to break some of those generational patterns that she knows she got from her parents and her grandparents. Green hat, what are some creative options? Join a local bartering or community exchange group. She could start a blog to generate passive affiliate income. She could apply for local financial assistance or grants for single mothers. She could explore remote freelance gigs that pay better hourly rates than her current position does. And then blue hat, what's the plan? So what's she going to do? And again, these different perspectives, especially the blue hat, is really kind of moving on to the next 2 steps of the SOAP framework, but that's okay. We can look ahead and jump back and revisit things all the time. So blue hat, what's the plan? She's going to rework the monthly budget to allocate a fixed savings amount, so she starts putting some money in savings. Remember the whole pay yourself first thing? I know we know this, we hear it all the time, but most of us never do it. Set up a high yield savings account. Research and start a passive income project within 90 days. So she needs to find some way to make passive income, another stream of income within 3 months. And then schedule weekly check-ins for financial planning, right? To make sure that she is staying on track of her goals, etc. Okay, so that's the plan. That's an example of the 6 hats. And so what are we going to do today? We're going to think about each of these 6 hats and these different points of view as we're looking at options to fill the gap between where we are and where we want to be with this particular financial situation. Don't make it about everything. These are kind of about everything. Make it specific to the challenge that you're facing right now financially. If you have any questions about this, hit me up and ask. It's a really fun strategy. It's a fun way of seeing the world from different points of view, seeing your situation, your challenges, and your life from different points of view, which is always valuable, right? All right. Have an awesome day, and I'll, of course, be with you tomorrow.